Crime crackers.
Actress Selena Verne used to rent a mountain estate every winter. It stands in the middle of nowhere, and rumor has it that ghosts and such are often seen there. Meanwhile, it's actually a great place to chill out. There are a dozen bedrooms on the second floor with a bathroom in each. On the ground floor, there is a kitchen, a library, and a large living room with a fireplace and a home movie theater. The basement houses a swimming pool, sauna, and a garage for several cars. Every year, Verna would invite her friends to the estate Christmas holidays, and also friends of friends occasionally. That's how I got here. It was quite a fortune for a young writer of a cheap soap opera like myself, since everybody who used to come here was involved with the legendary blockbuster Ghost Voices. Its script had won Sean Beacham an Oscar 15 years earlier. Selena played the lead character. I'd only seen her once before. A friend of mine, the actor Michael de la Vega, introduced us. We used to go to art school together and dreamed of becoming famous in Hollywood. Michael quickly broke into the world of cinema, and now was trying his best to help me get to fame and glory. Well, I never thought I'd get it at this price. I didn't imagine that a week after my arrival, I would be standing in the estate's sauna at night, examining the door lock, trying to figure out why it didn't open when it was supposed to. My sixth sense said it was no accident. A person had died after all. Too bad my intuition was silent the day I arrived. Perhaps I could have prevented the tragedy. Michael and I got welcomed by Selena. She was as gorgeous as always. No wonder my friend fell hard for her. Despite their age difference, they were a great couple. Michael told Selena about my dream of meeting Sean, so she invited me to come for vacation. I spotted Ethan Mays, the composer of The Voices, in the living room. He was playing one of his compositions on the piano. Over dinner, I got to know the other guests as well. Vivian Giraldi, an artist and production designer of the movie, and Zach Donovan, the one who played one of the lead roles. And finally, I shook hands with Sean Beacham. There was a relaxed atmosphere at the table. Vivian teased Selena that the older she was getting, the younger her lovers were. Verne teased the artist for the nasty Chinese tea she carries along, which no one can drink but Beacham. Sean blamed Zach for not reaching their general success rate. Ethan got called a sleeping pill junkie because he wouldn't go to bed without pills. Their friendship was rooted in nostalgia for the times when they worked on the project that made them world famous. They bombarded me with questions, what I was working on, what I was writing. I have no significant achievements yet, but I am working on a script, which I hope will help me enter the world of cinema, I answered. Sean said he's up for taking a look at it. I was over the moon. Vivian almost choked with surprise. May everyone forgive me, but you are the worst screenwriter in the world. It turned out that once Beacham wrote a script about an artist and took the biography of Giraldi as a source. When she saw the movie, she cringed. According to her, Sean twisted everything. He, however, laughingly stated that the movie was not about her at all. The protagonist's name was different. Meanwhile, everyone knows that the script is based on my life. You've made a fool out of me. The artist stood up and walked out of the living room with her head held high. All artists are highly sensitive, Selena said. And we went on with the dinner. We spent the next few days having fun, skiing, drinking wine, watching movies, swimming in the pool, and basking in the sauna. One evening, we lingered by the fireplace alone with Zach. He said he hadn't made it to the top much because of Beacham, among other things. Donovan got kicked out of one movie because the screenwriter, which was Sean, didn't see him as the character. It was about something else, though. Once upon a time, Zach took away a beloved woman from the writer. Ethan didn't clash with Beacham, but there was a slight chill between them. When we paired up on the piano, Mays said Sean hurt someone he loved. Well, Beacham isn't perfect, but that doesn't take away from his genius. It was a week after we arrived and a blizzard started. There was no way to get out of the house. Yet it turned out that the storm was not the worst thing that could happen to us. Bored out of our minds, we gathered in the library. There was no TV signal, but there was the internet. Selena suggested having a nostalgic evening watching Hollywood's golden era movies. Vivian made her tea and took a cup to Sean. He was resting up in his room. The artist returned and joined us, but fell asleep almost immediately. About 5 hours later, we noticed that Beacham still didn't join us. He wasn't in the bedroom either. We looked all over the house and found him The sauna was on steam mode, the door was closed, nobody responded to our knocking, so we had to break in. Sean Beecham, half naked and red, was lying in the middle of the room. The man was dead. The door had probably jammed, and he hadn't been able to get out of the room. Selena felt unwell. Vivian even seemed to grin. Or was it just a kind of nervous reaction? Ethan and Zach carried the screenwriter's body to his bedroom. Michael called the police. They told us to wait. Because of the weather, no one could get to us now. We all gathered in the living room in silence. All of a sudden, Vivian muttered that life was a cruel thing. Who would have thought, she said, that Sean would suffer exactly the kind of death feared by the protagonist of Ghost Voices? Everyone got dumbfounded. I imagined Beecham trying to get out of the sauna, probably calling for help, but we didn't hear. I asked Michael to turn the sound system up to the volume we were watching movies, and went into the sauna and started screaming from there. Michael came running to my scream, and so did the rest of the guests. So Sean didn't scream? Why didn't he? At night I had trouble sleeping. So around 3 a.m, I stood barefoot in the sauna exploring the scene. I realized that the door could not have just slammed shut. They are equipped with electromagnetic holders that allow you to keep them open and close them when you need to. There was also a button to unlock the doors from the inside, so Sean could get them open if he wanted to. Meaning, he didn't want to? He opted to roast himself in the sauna. That's an extraordinary way to commit suicide. Or was Beecham unable to open the door after falling unconscious? I didn't notice any health issues with the screenwriter. Even so, who locked the door? I started to remember who had left the living room and when during our movie night, but it was too difficult a thing. On the table next to the sauna, I saw the cup that Vivian had brought to Sean. Had he decided to drink his tea in here? Ergo, this is the last thing he consumed. Could the drink have been poisoned? Did the artist murder Beecham? I mean, she drank the tea herself, and she fell asleep right away. So it was laced with sleeping pills? A whole lot of thoughts kept me awake till morning. And in the morning, I headed over to Vivian's. I came to her to ask around, pretending I was just interested in Sean's life. The artist talked calmly, wiping away her tears from time to time. She kept saying that even though he was kind of an asshole, she loved him. He said that one day the two of them got a little drunk and Beecham said that he wasn't the one who wrote Ghost Voices. I don't know if it's true or not, but I never told anyone, though sometimes I wanted to avenge my reputation. Vivian grinned sadly. It was hard on her. It doesn't look like Giraldi is a murderer. The artist asked for some tea, but we didn't find it. Strange, Vivian said. It disappeared the day Sean was gone too. Ethan helped find the tea back then, when everyone started watching movies. For some reason, the tea box was on a shelf by the door, although the artist did not put it there. What she said made me wonder. Maybe there was a reason the screenwriter died that way. Maybe someone had a motive to do it that exact way. I started my laptop to find information about the movie. Turns out there was a scandal 15 years ago. There was an aspiring screenwriter, Milena Dennis, who claimed she wrote the script. Well, Sean won the case in court, and Milena was then blacklisted as a screenwriter. Is that really true? And Beecham, my idol, could he have done that? One magazine wrote that Dennis was his wife but left him for some actor. Sean left his ex penniless, and she made this scandal out of revenge. So where's the truth? I thought of Zach, who stole the writer's sweetheart. Perhaps it was Milena? A few shots of whiskey and Zach and I are already talking about that woman. It was not Milena, but someone named Marie, whom Donovan himself had already forgotten about. As for Milena, oh yes, he remembers her. Everything in the press was a lie. Milena was a stunningly beautiful and sophisticated woman. Many men courted her, but she was in love with Beecham. Ethan had a crush on her too. He even wrote a track in her honor, but she wouldn't trade Sean for anyone. As Maze walked by the living room, I started playing by ear a composition he'd written to honor Milena. Ethan came over and stood listening in silence for a while. Then he turned to speak. Back in the day, he, Melina, and Selena were just like Michael and me. They shared an apartment and dreamed of making movies. Milena was studying in the drama department, and Beecham was teaching there. They fell in love with each other and got married. His wife often helped Sean with scripts. She planted ideas and sometimes even wrote for him when he had a lot of work on his plate. But she dreamed of her own fame, so she was secretly working on her script. Beecham found it. and realized he'd never write one like that himself, so he hired some actor to charm his wife. That's how a few photos of this crook came to light. The screenwriter filed for divorce and kicked his wife out of the house with nothing. A year later, she found out about the Oscar that Sean got awarded for her script. Selena walked into the living room. "Wait, just a few more questions," I shouted to the composer, who was already heading toward his room. What interested me most was how he knew all this. Yet the actress didn't let me follow him. She said everyone is stressed out and Ethan needs to rest, and invited me over for a glass of wine. As soon as we walked in, Verna remembered that she had forgotten the bottle of sherry in the kitchen and walked out to get it. I looked around the room. My gaze slid down to the makeup table, and I noticed Vivian's tea. When Selena came back, I was holding it in my hands. With a startled look, I offered to brew it, but the actress took the tea box away from me and said it was gross. She assured me that she would give it back to the owner tomorrow. She said she'd accidentally picked it up in the kitchen and forgot to return it. I thought it was kind of weird. So the tea disappeared before Beecham's death, then reappeared. Vivian was able to brew it for herself and Sean, and then the box disappeared again. And now it's here. Did Selena actually murder the screenwriter? Until now, I had thought that she and Michael were the only ones who didn't have the motive to take down Beecham. I asked the actress if she knew what happened to Milena after the scandal. It turned out that the whole story had a bad effect on the woman and she ended up in a mental hospital. When I asked her where she was now, Selena told me that Milena passed away. I dared to ask, "Did you put sleeping pills in Vivian's tea?" Verna turned to me and said, "We're all shocked by what happened, but there's no need to make up stories. Sean wasn't murdered. It was an accident." She put it in a way that made me realize I had to go. I opened the door and spotted Mays in the hallway. He claimed he was looking for his pills, and then he went on to add, "It was me who put sleeping pills in the tea." "Ethan, shut up," Selena ordered, but he kept going. "I knew Sean was going to the sauna. He told me himself. I just had to make sure Vivian brewed her tea. She was looking for it, so I helped her." "Ethan, stop it. You shouldn't say anything." I couldn't figure out what was going on. Did Verna murder Sean and Mays is trying to take the blame now? Or was it Ethan who committed the murder and Selena won't let him confess? "Shut your mouth!" she shouted. "There's no evidence. It was an accident." However, it was as if the composer hadn't heard her. Vivian, Zach, and Michael came out to the noise. But it seemed Ethan wanted to speak as if he wanted to unburden himself. It turned out he still had feelings for Milena. Crushed by Beecham's betrayal, she turned to Mays. He supported his sweetheart as much as he could, but that Oscar had brought Milena down. For many years, the composer visited the woman in the clinic, hoping that she would recover and they would stay together. However, a month ago, Milena passed away, and the only thing Ethan wanted was revenge. Once he had said that, he wandered off to his room. The others stood stunned in the hallway for a while. Then they moved away, each with his own thoughts. The police arrived the next morning. Ethan, however, didn't wake up. He had taken way too many pills. He didn't deserve this fate, Selena said, and admitted that she had guessed the whole thing. So in an attempt to cover his tracks, she stole Vivian's tea stuffed with sleeping pills. The next day, all the newspapers were telling of Beecham's death, and the front pages were filled with pictures of everyone who'd been on vacation at Selena Vern's estate. That's how fame comes sometimes. Not in the way you expect it, and not always at the right time.
Crime Crackers.